So, my sister and I have never really shared a good relationship. And recently, it's been getting even worse. She's 3 years older than me, and when she graduated from high school, she had already decided that she's not going to go to college. So, for the past couple of years, she's been doing part time jobs here and there, and mostly been living off of our parents. And for whatever reason, they seem to be completely fine with it. I don't talk about it either because it's not really my business. If they want to support her right now and for the rest of our lives, that's on them, not me. I, however, have been very clear that I want to get a business degree and I want to get out of here. So I had been told that I'm going to have to make sure that I get a scholarship because it's not going to be possible for them to pay my college tuition in full. And I've been very understanding about it too. I've applied for scholarships because I know that my parents aren't exactly very rich. They've been able to provide a comfortable life for us so far, but I don't want to be too dependent on them. So I know that even if I don't get a scholarship, I'm going to have to get a student loan or something and get through it somehow by walking through college. I'm prepared for that. But all of a sudden, I found out through my sister that she has also decided that this year she's going to start college with me because she thinks it's time to get a degree and improve her prospects. And my parents have decided to pay for it, along with a little help from her savings from her job. I found that a bit unfair because I felt like the money that she was being all allotted was a lot more than what I was going to get. And look, I'm not implying that people shouldn't go after what they want, but her timing was just suspicious. She had never expressed any interest whatsoever in wanting to get a degree. So as soon as I had started applying to college, the fact that she also wanted to apply was just ridiculous. And thankfully, I noticed that and I decided to do some snooping. We have a shared laptop. My parents have another device to use, so it was not that difficult. I checked her account, and surprisingly enough, she had actually been applying to colleges. She was not just talking about it, but the catch was that for one of the college applications, she had copied an essay that I had written word for word, and obviously I started panicking because I thought that she had already sent it in. But thankfully, she hadn't. I guess she had some minor changes to make, but anyway, it didn't matter because as soon as I saw that, I decided to send my essay. At least that way, I would be ahead of her in one thing. I also made sure that she hadn't used my essays for anything else. And thankfully, she hadn't. And all of this was quite a while back. I never spoke about this with anybody because I did not want to get into any of it at all. But since I found out about this, I had stopped speaking to my sister altogether because I had no idea that she could stoop so disgustingly low. I had already always felt like she was jealous of me, like she couldn't stand me being happy or being the center of attention at any point in time. And I had always been correct about that, but my parents had refused to see it. However, this was just going way too far. The fact that she had decided to steal my essay to get into my dream college, knowing fully well how much it meant to me, it was just too much. I never spoke to my parents about it either, because it didn't matter how much they pretended. It was very obvious that they had a soft spot for my sister that they did not have for me. So I figured that it might as well be pointless to tell them anything because they were definitely not going to intervene. They were not going to do anything. Like they haven't done so far. They were just going to let the situation pan out between the two of us and stay out of it altogether. And in the end, my sister would not face any consequences whatsoever. But I would end up feeling terrible about whatever has happened, and I didn't want that. Besides, even with a scholarship, I would need them to provide some sort of financial support service. Counting on that, and I wouldn't be able to have that if I ruined my relationship with them, so I was just looking out for myself. And that's with a scholarship. I don't know what I would have done without one. But anyway, fast forward to a couple of days ago. I got into my dream college with the essay that I had written and that my sister had attempted to steal. I also got a scholarship on top of that, and I'll be needing very little help from my parents. Anyway, I sent in the essay, and after my acceptance and everything, I did speak to the college authorities, and they asked me about a similar application and essay that they had received a couple of days after mine. And they had noticed that we shared the same last name. So I acknowledged that it was my sister, but I told them that I had no idea that she had sent in the same essay as mine, because I thought it would be better to pretend that I didn't know anything about it. Anyway, they told me that since they had received my essay earlier, they had taken that into account, and also because my sister's grades hadn't been that good either. They had decided to reject her application, but they didn't tell me that. I found out about that rejection from my sister herself. Because naturally, she had also been questioned, and she started telling them that I was the one who had stolen from her. But they did not seem very inclined to believe it, and the authorities made it very clear that whoever had submitted it first along with the application was going to get accepted, fair and square. And these personal differences were, unfortunately, not their domain. So she will have to deal with it. I thought that was reasonable enough, but clearly my sister doesn't feel the same way. Because for the past couple of days, she has been picking fights with me over and over again about the same thing. And she claims that I stole her chance of getting into this college right from under her nose. And she claims that I'm the one who is a fraud when both of us know very well who is the one responsible for this in reality. Anyway, the situation now is that she has been telling everybody that I stole her essay. And obviously, anybody who knows me is not likely to believe it because I've always been a very good student. I've always been very honest, and I've never been anything like her. So nobody would think that I would be capable of doing something like that. But she's been trying to convince everyone, be it my friends, be it our family, everybody. And last night we had a super dangerous quarrel. It almost came to a physical brawl, but our parents finally decided that it was time to interfere. And they got us to go back to our own rooms, but they still haven't actually said anything to her and what she's been claiming, so I decided to take matters into my own hands. I decided to gather all the proof that I possibly could, including the date the files were created, which pretty much just proves that I was the one who created the essay file first. Yes, it might not prove that I've written the essay first, but at least it's something, and I also knew that I couldn't go wrong with telling everybody that I got a scholarship, and unlike my sister, I have been preparing myself for all of this, college, for the past couple of years, and it was not just a decision I made on a whim like her. On top of that, she's always been jealous of me. She's always hated it whenever I've been the center of attention, and she couldn't stand it this time either. Which is why she decided to pursue her degree at the same time as I did. And she didn't even put in any thought into what she would go after. She just blindly started applying to the same colleges that I did, for the same degree that I was trying to get. There was a lot of resentment and frustration, and it just bubbled up to the surface while I was writing that post, and I let it all go. After that, I posted it, and now obviously everybody has read it, and people are supporting me, but my parents are very upset that I made a post like that, claiming that I'm making a fool out of our own family, saying that I'm ruining our own reputation by having such a public fight with my sister. And I find it very funny that they are accusing me of ruining our reputation when they had nothing to say, while my sister was going around telling everybody that I stole her essay and everything. Was that not ruining our reputation, or was that fine because it was just an accusation against me? Right now, I am in a terrible fight with my parents, and obviously my sister and I feel like everybody is against me. I know the rest of the family has been supporting me on the post, but right now, the people that I live with, they have been incredibly difficult, and they won't even look me in the eye. And they're treating me like some kind of pariah. It's just weird, and I feel guilty because of them, but I'm not sure if I should. So AITA here for posting about my sister and whatever she's been putting me through on social media for everyone. Edit. So just in case it was not clear to everybody, my parents are actually paying for my sister to go to college. But when it came to me, they had told me that I was going to have to make my own arrangements in case I'm not able to get a scholarship, because they really don't have that kind of money to send me to college. But when it was my sister who asked them, they told her that they would be able to help her out a little, but she would have to use some money from her own savings as well. And obviously, because her savings are not that much, they are going to be helping her out a lot more. And I haven't even confronted them about it because I just don't think that it's worth it. But do I think it's unfair? Yes. 100% so. I know a lot of people are not happy with the fact that I have not confronted them, and they think that I should talk to them about it, but what's the point? The only reason I'm even skeptical right now is because I don't want to ruin my relationship with them completely, since that might affect my ability to pay for whatever I might have to. Going into college, and I really don't want any trouble with that. Update 1. Okay, so it's been almost 2 long weeks since I made that post, and so far, things have not been going so well at home. Like I said, nobody's talking to me, nobody even wants to look at me. And a couple of days ago, while I was having lunch by myself in the living room, my sister decided to walk past me, and on purpose. She decided to hit the plate. Naturally, that meant that it fell to the ground, and everything that I was eating fell with it, and I was not even halfway done with my lunch. That was just unnecessarily malicious, and I lost my temper at her. I couldn't take this anymore, and I was sobbing and yelling at her, and she didn't even seem to care. She was just looking at me and smirking and looking so smug. So obviously that was pretty bad, and this time the fight ended up being a physical one, and my parents had to come and tear us apart. I got hurt a lot, but she did too. So that was quite satisfactory to see. However, the downside of that is that my parents have now decided that it's not feasible for us to live in the same house anymore, because clearly we are not capable of restraining our tempers around each other. And so the only solution that came to them was sending me to live with my grandparents. Honestly, I can't even pretend that I'm surprised at any of this. I should have seen this coming, because they would definitely never send away my sister. I don't hate my grandparents or anything. I love them. I adore them. But the only problem is that they live way outside the city. Obviously, in a couple of days, it's not going to matter because college is going to start. But until then, I want to be around my friends. So I have told them that this is very unfair. They cannot treat me like this, especially when I'm not even the one at fault here. My sister was going around telling everybody that I was the one who stole the essay from her. So if anything, she's the one who should be suffering, not me. But my parents were not ready to hear it. They told me that at the end of the day, I was the one who had made that post and taken things way too far. And even after everything, I have not even deleted it, so it shows I don't care about the family or the reputation we have. They have said that I am being dramatic. They have said I'm being problematic. No matter how hard I've tried to fight it, they have made it very clear that I'm not a priority for them. But my sister is. It's just an incredibly hurtful way to deal with things, and I don't understand why my parents are doing this to me. But in the end, I understand that there was no fighting with them. There was no reasoning with them. I decided that the best move I could make right now was to accept things and stay with my grandparents for a while because at least they would not treat me like that. So this morning, my dad dropped me off at the grandparents' place and they accepted me very happily. They helped me and they told me that as soon as they had heard everything that was going on, they decided it would be better for me to come and stay with them. And I didn't even need to explain anything. They told me they knew it would be difficult for me to stay without my friends and so far away from them in the last few weeks before I start college. So they told me I could take the car, since I don't have one of my own, and drive down to meet my friends every weekend or whenever I please. I thought that was really nice of them because while my parents have a car, they never trust me with it. Though my sister is allowed to drive it whenever she needs it. Anyway, my grandparents are on my side and they have told me that I don't need to talk to my parents anymore, especially if I don't feel like it. Not even for money. They told me that if possible, they would like to pay whatever tuition I have left over after the scholarship kicks in. And since I have a 50% scholarship, this is a huge deal. I told them that they didn't have to do this, but they told me that they wanted to because at the end of the day, it was very clear that for my parents, my sister was more of a priority than I would ever be. And they did not want me to feel like I don't have anybody in my corner because they want me to know they are always going to be there for me. It brought tears to my eyes. The way they were being so supportive of me and everything. And I'm really happy I chose to stay with my grandparents instead of fighting with my parents and refusing to come. At least now I know for a fact that even without my parents or my sister, I have people who are going to be there for me, and I have people who are going to support me no matter what. Last couple of days have been very hard for me. What with the fighting and the feeling of loneliness and everything. But I think I'm going to get better now since I'm in better company. I'm really thankful to have my grandparents in my life. I truly am. Not everybody's so lucky. Update 2. Hey, so it's been a couple of weeks since my previous update and I've completed all the formalities related to college admission. So I'm officially a student and I'll be starting next week. I didn't speak to my parents at all regarding any of it because my grandparents had made it pretty clear to me that if I did not feel like it, that if I felt like I was being treated as a burden and an outsider by my parents, then I don't need to rely on them. And my grandparents are perfectly capable of taking care of me, and so they did. They lived up to their word. They paid whatever was left over, and honestly, I have never been happier. I haven't spoken to my parents at all. Although I'm still aware of the fact that my sister has been posting shady things about me online. Obviously, she doesn't name me, so that's different. But from the post that she shares on the quotes that she puts up, it's pretty clear that she's trying to make it seem like she's the victim. She's trying to push her narrative that I am the bad guy here and nobody's buying it. My friends have kept me filled in on that, and I just find it really pathetic that even after having everything she wants, she's still coming after me for no reason. I mean, I'm not even around her anymore, so she's got to be kidding me with this now. I just don't understand what her problem is. I haven't ever done anything to her, and yet she's always had it in for me. And I can't understand how my parents can support this. I mean, being biased is one thing, but they're just pretending as if she's the best thing that has happened to mankind, and I'm a big nobody. Why even raise me? Why even give birth to me and pretend that I'm their child if they were just going to treat me like this eventually? And actually, if I think about it, this is not even a recent development. I'm just realizing it way too late that for my parents, my sister has always been more of a priority than I have. I just don't understand how these people work. I don't understand how their brains function or whether they even function or not. It's quite sad, honestly, because we could have been a happy family, but they don't want that. They don't even know that I'm going to start college in a couple of days. And I'm pretty sure that even if they knew, they wouldn't care about it. It's fine though. I don't care about it now either, and I'm trying to put them out of my head altogether. I had been hurting, I'm not going to lie about that, but I have my grandparents, I have my friends, and I've been meeting them quite frequently to keep myself distracted. And I'm really happy that I have such a good support system in my corner. I've even taken up a few part-time jobs that I can do remotely. And at college, along with my education, I can get ahead in my career as well. And I'll be getting paid. That's a big thing, so I won't have to rely on my grandparents too much. Although they have told me that it's not a big deal. But I don't want to make a habit out of it. I don't want to take them for granted. So I'll be doing whatever I can to make everything easier here. Update 3. Okay, so I leave for college tomorrow, and of course my parents had to do something. So they came by and we had a huge fight just a couple of hours ago. The two of them came by with the expectation that they were going to drop me off to college tomorrow. And I told them they were not welcome to do so. After all, it was my grandparents who had been there for me all this time. They hadn't even bothered to check up on me. My grandparents had handled everything, including the finances. So they don't need to step in now and pretend like they care about me, because it's very clear that they don't. And I would appreciate it if they let me and my grandparents get on with it instead of trying to get back into my life and pretend as if we are a happy family. Besides, it was just one day, and I'm pretty sure I would be able to handle myself without them. But they got very angry with me. They started telling me that I was being ridiculous, and my grandparents might have handled the finances for this one, but throughout my life, they are the ones who have raised me. So I cannot just discount that and pretend as if that's not a big thing. My grandparents obviously stepped in, and they thought my parents were being ridiculous, which they were, because how can they even try to pretend that it's a big deal that they raised me and everything? They had to raise me. They gave birth to me. So unless they wanted to give me up for adoption or whatever, they had to raise me. It was not a favor they did to me. So they can't make it sound like that either. And they got defensive. And they were acting very stupid. And they got called out by my grandparents. So they started accusing me. They started telling me that I've ruined the reputation of the family. And not only that, I've also probably been feeding my grandparents a bunch of lies about being mistreated at my home, which is why my grandparents also now, for whatever reason, feel the need to pretend as if I'm the victim of something, even though I'm not. It was just stupid, and obviously I defended myself. And they did not like that at all. The fact that I was defending myself and that I had the audacity to retort to them and pretend as if I'm not the bad guy here, I mean, how dare I? They were here with an olive branch. And even though it meant nothing, and I had made it very clear to them that I did not want them accompanying me on an important day of my life, especially when they have not been there for me and had created nothing but trouble and misery for me in the past couple of weeks. So what kind of olive branch even is it? And anyway, isn't it my choice whether I want to accept their apology or not? If they are forcing me to accept it and then throwing a tantrum if I am standing up for myself, then how much of a choice even is it? Anyway, things got pretty bad. My parents and I got into a shouting match. My grandparents also had to get involved, and eventually my grandparents just started kicking my parents out, telling them that they were not going to accept this kind of behavior under their roof, especially because they were shouting so loudly that the neighbors had started to peek out. It was quite embarrassing because even after getting kicked out, my parents were just standing there on the porch, cussing me out, cussing at my grandparents, trying to make us seem like the bad people here. But I think everybody who actually knows the situation will agree that they were the ones who were out of bounds. Anyhow, after a while, when they realized that standing outside the house and yelling the most horrible foul names at us, cussing us out, is not going to help them, they left. But by then, the mood had already been spoiled and I was very upset. Thankfully, though, because my grandparents understand me so well, they decided to take me out for dinner to improve my mental state before I leave for college tomorrow, because they did not want this weighing on me, and I really appreciate them for it. Honestly, I really don't think that my parents have even wanted me, and I can understand that now. I wish I had just stayed with my parents from a long time back. That would have saved me a lot of heartache and trouble, but anyway, I'm glad that this is the situation now, and I'm happy I'm going away to college tomorrow. I'm going to miss my grandparents, but I know that they are always going to be there for me, and I'm going to do my best to make them proud now. Update 4. Hey everybody, so it's been a couple of days since my previous update and I started college. I've moved into my dorm and everything, and things are going well. Obviously, my grandparents were the ones to help me out and everything. They dropped me off, and I got a couple of my friends to help me move in because I didn't want to make my grandparents do the physical work, even though my grandfather was more than enthusiastic to do so. But I knew better anyway. I've stayed in touch with them. We speak every night for a few minutes, and it's nice to have people who care about me. My parents and my sister, on the other hand, made it very clear they don't have anything to do with me. My parents sent me an email telling me that they were very disappointed in me and that unless I wanted to apologize to them, they would not like to speak to me ever again. And if that meant disowning me, they will do that as well because they've never felt so insulted and humiliated. As for my sister, she sent me a bunch of messages telling me that she was disgusted with my behavior, that she couldn't even believe I would do this to our parents, but at the end of the day, I was a selfish brat who didn't care about anybody apart from myself. So she probably should have seen this coming. She said that all along I've always been the jealous one, not her. And now the kind of person I am is very well known, and she has nothing left to say. And all of them have blocked me, and I think they probably believe that this was going to hurt me or something, but it really hasn't. It just goes to show I'm better off without them, and I know that for a fact. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.